Guys, it's D to the B here, and I'm here to talk about Kung Fu Panda 4. So, me, my friend L to the C slash Master Jam Madness, and another friend of ours, that Kermit fangirl, went to see Kung Fu Panda 4. Now, let me give my history about this film. So, I was kind of concerned with Kung Fu Panda 4 when it was first announced because the sequel took a while to release, and then also the fact that 3 wasn't a bad ending. Even though 3 isn't really my favorite and there are some issues with it, I'd be willing to go over some issues of mine with that movie if I ever do the Kung Fu Panda trilogy, which I wouldn't mind doing. And, like, the trailers looked really good, but part of me was just still concerned. And then also part of me is like, maybe it's mid, which I'd say that's about how I feel. It's mid. It's kind of like how I feel about Toy Story 4. Like, it was an okay movie, but at the same time wasn't really necessary. Granted, I think Kung Fu Panda 4 is a little bit better by like this much to Toy Story 4. But I think they do suffer in a lot of the same issues, but Kung Fu Panda does it a bit better. Now, I think some people are a little harsh to the movie, but granted, knowing how Kung Fu Panda was in the past, I couldn't entirely blame them, to be honest. Now, I did sort of enjoy the movie. I think more enjoyed dis- than not like it. But I could see there were some things that kind of frustrated me in the movie. Um, and then also some good points that people brought up that I was sort of feeling. So why don't we get started with the plot? So the plot is it opens up with a village of goats, and then we get um the return of Tai Lung. And it's the one clip, the teaser clip, where Tai Lung enters the village and he's like, "Yes, it is I, Tai Lung." And it plays out like, um, I'm taking all your stuff and no one can stop me, even the great dragon warrior. Then the credits open up. So I already have a problem with the opening, to be honest. When I saw the trailers for the movie, I thought it was going to open up with the chameleon opening up portals and already taking the cheese or the kung fu of each kung fu master. And yes, even though I didn't hate the movie, I think it should have done that instead. Like, I'll get into why they saved it, and I'll explain more into it, but I thought it would have been more of a better opening than what we got. But anyway, then we open to Poe fighting this stingray or whatever it is and saving the village from this thing. And he wins. We get a funny moment of Poe just doing his normal thing, signing autographs. Um, there was even a moment he signed Poe's signature on Shifu. I found that very hilarious. And then also a similar situation where instead of a kid, it's Master Shifu by him, and he gets the artist guy draws him, and then at one point, like Poe's like, can I have that in a wallet size? In the theater, I'm like, yeah, can I have that too? Um, so Shifu and Poe talk. Oh yeah, also the Furious Five is completely absent in this film, which was something me and L to the C talked about on day one when the trailer was revealed. We were concerned that the Furious Five was going to not have an involvement in this film, and technically we were right. Yeah, that was a bit disappointing. I found the joke with Mantis pretty funny. Like, trying to live another day without eating, getting his head eaten, because in actual life, if I'm remembering right, mantises, they're after they fall in love, the female eats the male mantis's head. If I can find an article or a page like that, I'll pull it up right here to prove my point. But yeah, that's what I gathered. And Shifu is explaining to Poe that it's time for um, him to find his successor, like how Oogway made Poe his successor. And Poe, of course, being reasonable, is like he doesn't want to do that. It's a really good concept on paper, and I think it is the next step to take Poe, because in each step, each of the movies, he has taken a step towards his destiny. The first one was becoming the Dragon Warrior and having confidence in himself to beat Tai Lung. The second one was to find inner peace with himself. And then the third one was about the ability of Chi and becoming what he's supposed to be. And now the next one is to be an successor, well, to have a successor, and he becomes what Oogway was. Here at Chol, the Valley of Peace. And they do the whole Dragon Warrior tournament, kind of like how it was in the original movie. And of course, we got these great candidates, or three great candidates and a pig dressed up as Poe. And Poe does the same thing Uwe did and did the spiritual finger thing, but then he made the joke it was pointing to him. And it was sort of funny, but at the same time, like, really? But then we move on to the secret base of the main villain of the movie, the Chameleon. And there are these gangs who are talking about how they used to be the big syndicate of crime. And ever since the Chameleon took over, things haven't been as well. And they think they're talking behind the Chameleon's back, but the Chameleon is actually right there in the meeting with them. And she basically hands them in their place. She knocks one guy over the down the stairs with her elephant mode, and basically puts the gang members in her place. Then we go back to Poe, and he's trying to do like inner peace and stuff like that. And then eventually, at some point, we meet the character who is destined to be the next Dragon Warrior according to DreamWorks and the film itself, Zen, if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know. Um, so we get to meet the new Dragon Warrior, Zen, who is a common thief, which I guess it's a good start to a character. Like, not every character has to be a goody two shoes. You could start them off as bad and slowly bring them to good. Like, I know, for example, one character of that, unless if it's not like that in the comics, I still have to read the comics. I'm pretty sure one person like that is Plastic Man from DC. Like, Plastic Man was a ex-criminal, and then he became a good guy and used his powers for good. Like, it's not a bad idea to start your next Dragon Warrior as a bad person. Now, when Zen was revealed into the trailers and then eventually confirmed as the next Dragon Warrior, part of me is like, no, just no. Don't do that. Like, I think she was all right in the film. Like, I I think Elsa C liked her more than I did. I thought she was fine. I kind of thought she was gonna go in the Mary Sue direction, to be honest. Like, just the annoying Mary Sue. She comes very close. Like, she's not terrible. There are a couple moments that I did laugh that she made, but there were moments where I'm like, yeah, she kind of feels like Mary Sue. So in the film and the trailers, I was super concerned about that because I hate when they create Mary Sues and especially demoralize previous characters. Now, I'd say there's a little bit of the Mary Sue-ish thing or the forced political stuff where you downgrade a character that was pre-established to prop up the nuance. I think there's one moment that I feel like they did do that. But anyway, so then they do a whole fight sequence, which I remember liking the fight sequence a bit when it was first on YouTube, like when they revealed it as a special clip. And like I even saw a video that pointed out all the references from Kung Fu Panda's previous movies. Like Po did the sword thing that Shifu did in the first movie, and then also when he did the chains, like the moves and the bricks, it was a reference to Kai, the third villain of the Kung Fu Panda movies. And like I'll give credit where I don't give any other credit to modern studios. At least Zen lost a couple fights. Okay, mostly two. She's lost two fights in the movie, and I'll get further into that. But her first fight with Po, she loses at the end. And she goes straight to jail. And the goat villagers come in and they tell Po that Tai Lung has returned, and Po is just shocked because he's supposed to be in the spirit realm because obviously he got totally wrecked in the first movie. And he follows the footprints, but then notices the footprints have changed size, so he goes back to Zen, and Zen explains that it wasn't Tai Lung, it was the chameleon. Now, again, like I found the opening very strange to me. I don't know. I don't know how to justify that. I just feel like the opening scene was weak. The rest of the opening was fine. I liked the rest of the opening, but just the opening scene before the title screen, I thought it was kind of a waste. A little bit nostalgic, which is not bad, but at the same time, it's yeah. I'm sorry. I'm still processing the movie, but I'll give you my general thoughts about it. That's my intention. So, um, Zen is like, you should free me so I can help you go to the village and stop the chameleon. And Po reasonably rejects it at first, and then comes to the conclusion that he does need her. Then Shifu basically tells him it's a bad idea and he needs to choose his successor, which he breaks her out and then completely ignores Shifu. Then they go on their journey. We meet up with the chameleon who's setting up everything for her special event. Then we go back to our heroes where they are on a journey. Also, we get the side plot with the dads. Like, I found some jokes with the dads funny, but at the same time, they're kind of useless in this movie until like the very end, which I'll get into. So then they go into this cavern where they need to get a ship, they meet up with the captain, who is a pelican and a fish at the same time. And of course, um, Zen, being the criminal that she is, cheats the villains of the pub or the area, which was called like Happy Bunny or something like that. I can't remember. Which I'll admit that stuff was pretty funny. With like keep working, like that was funny. I enjoyed that. And then after Zen accidentally reveals that she cheated because all the game pieces just disappear, the pub just decides to attack. Poe does this cool thing with his staff, which was really cool. I really liked that. Then they go on the boat, they go to the village, and on the way, during the village, Poe finds out that she's a wanted criminal, and then Zen was captured, is taken by the police, but then Poe is just like, hey, I need her to defeat the chameleon because I'm the Dragon Warrior and we're doing Dragon Warrior business. And they're like, who? And then he made the joke, I'm the Kung Fu Panda. He gets arrested. Zen breaks them out. And a funny part I actually did find funny in the joke was, as soon as they broke out, they already had posters of Poe as a criminal. I found that honestly hilarious. How that it happened so quickly. Like, I expected it, like, probably the next transition to the building, but like just as soon as they break out, he's like, bam, poster. poster. Like, I found that very funny. Basically escape, and they go on. We go back to the dads, who are still there. Oh yeah, on the boat ride, we find out that she was an orphan. And I felt bad for her. I kind of got the perspective of stealing. Yeah, I got it. And they had some sort of a bonding moment with the orphan thing, which I guess makes sense. Then, they continue on. They, eventually make it to the temple. I'm trying to remember as much as I can, even though I saw the movie not too long ago. They go in the temple. They sneak in, where we get the moment where they are at the main entrance after sneaking into the sewer tunnels. The lid to the sewer tunnels just collapse down the stairs. They don't wake up. I know a joke like that probably sounds really stupid, but those were kind of the jokes that I grew up with as a child. Like, something really loud happens and they don't wake up. It kind of reminds me of that one joke in SpongeBob where SpongeBob's making all these sudden loud noises while he steps into the room. Like, take one step, it's literally an explosion. And then SpongeBob whispering just wakes him up. I found it funny, personally. I saw one review where they were like, that was not funny at all, and nitpicking some stuff. Like, I personally found that funny. And then, of course, they woke up, they got, the minions got waken up by a fart, which then they immediately spring up and start chasing our heroes, or Hero and Zen. Poe gets trapped immediately. He trusts Zen, gives her the staff, and then as Poe tries to thinks that Zen's gonna help her to get out of the trap, it turns out that Zen is secretly the bad guy, which is something people predicted, that she was going to be a bad guy and work for the chameleon. We find out more details about how the chameleon took her in after being intrigued by her skills of stealing. And Um, Poe being angry is pretty reasonable. Like, there was even one point after he escaped, he thought Zen got the staff, but it was the chameleon. The chameleon thinks she killed him, and then Zen is upset that he had to go like that, and she basically brings up the rules of the city. They leave, but then Poe turns out to be alive, and then his goose dad saves Poe from the minions by kicking it, and then as he's about to fall, Poe is about to fall, but then his dad comes out of nowhere, and then um and of course he runs into Zen after Zen left because the chameleon started to pull the villains from the spirit realm, where they brought back Tai Lung, and I have to say, they executed Tai Lung perfectly. Like, nothing disrespectful at all about Tai Lung's first entrance. He immediately kicks butt, and as Tai Lung thinks he's gonna win, the chameleon has an upper hand. His kung fu is taken away and thrown in a cage. Now, I've originally thought that when the scene with the portal was going to happen, she was going to summon the kung fu master, take their kung fu, and then send them back, which would make the most sense. Like, as cool as seeing Tai Lung alive again was cool, it would have probably made more sense and probably harder for her abilities to be taken away that she stole from each of the villains. Then as Poe returns, or is about to return, we get the cameo of Kai, which I kind of had a problem with this. I forgot to mention it in the review. That I kind of had an issue with Kai because I rewatched all three Kung Fu Panda movies to make sure they didn't destroy anything in the movie, in the franchise. And one issue I had was, how is Kai alive, or how is he in the spirit realm, since he was banished to the spirit realm, then came back to the mortal world, then banished to the spirit realm again, and then killed in the spirit realm. How is he alive? I think there has to be something more than just the spirit realm after you get killed. And then they brought my boy Shen. They disrespected Shen in this movie. I hated it. It was just like, he shows up and his kung fu is just taken right away. Like, why? Like, you gave Tai Lung a cool scene. Why couldn't you give Shen a cool scene? He's Kung Fu Panda's, by this poll that I made. This poll I made on my community post. He's Kung Fu Panda's second favorite villain. Personally, he's my first. I love Shen. I thought he was really intimidating in Kung Fu Panda 2. And they disrespected him by just taking his kung fu right away. Like, think about the original fight, the fight in Kung Fu Panda 2, where he took on 3 Kung Fu masters. He didn't win the fight, but his Kung Fu was definitely something. I would have taken a fight at least. It didn't even have to be like a minute or two, like Tai Lung's was, but just a bit longer than it was. I found that so disappointing, and then they just throw him in a cage. Like, that's not even cool. And Shen doesn't even talk in this movie. Tai Lung is the only villain from the OG villains that talks. Kai doesn't talk, Shen doesn't talk. Oh boy. Just, oh boy. Not saying it's bad, I just wish there was more from Shen. That's kind of how I feel. And then Poe comes in and just fights the chameleon through all of the forms that she forms into, with also the abilities of the villains she faced. And Poe is losing the fight, and the chameleon just turns into this monster thing, which was not what I was expecting. I figured it would be evil Poe first, then the monster thing, as like the final threat. And then then hold on, sorry, I'm trying to think. I'm having a brain fart. Okay, then they face the dragon monster thing. They beat the dragon monster thing. Then the chameleon turns into evil Poe, and we get the line of, "I'm gonna kick my butt." They fight. It's a cool scene. I really like the fights. People are criticizing the fights. I think the fights are really good in this movie. Um, are they the greatest? No, but I think they're really good. Like I even love the the background things in the fight. I think those are really cool and add more to it. So then Poe gets trapped into the kung fu proof cage, which I forgot to mention earlier, and he trusts Zen again to defeat. And this is the moment where I'm like, because Zen then pulls up the same move that Poe did in the cavern and takes down the chameleon. Okay, not all the way, but pretty close. And this is kind of the moment where I was thinking, like, that's kind of a Mary Sue moment right there. Like, we didn't get a scene at all that I'm aware of. I did leave at one point to go to the bathroom. But there was no scene. Hold on, let me check with L to the C. He wasn't really sure. So yeah, let's just continue on. And then after the chameleon is beaten, the chameleon, all the cages get opened. The chi comes, or the kung fu of each master or villain that Poe faced before just come back, which makes sense. Then we get the strangest thing where Tai Lung respects Poe. Now, like, I guess it's a good scene to have all the villains that Poe faced in the past to basically admit he is a great warrior. But I find it weird that they just bow at Poe. Like, they completely respect him. Like, I can understand if like they came to understand that Poe wasn't a bad warrior, but still hate him. Because keep in mind, three of these villains, or three of these spirits, have been bested by Poe and fell. Like, I think Tai Lung would still be mad that he got whooshy fingered by Poe, even though at the point he thought he was the true dragon warrior and not Poe. Then Shen being mad that he found inner peace even though he did all those things to Poe, and he managed to find inner peace where he couldn't, and tried taking Poe's life so he can feel satisfaction before he got crushed by the sail post. Then Kai being pissed. Even though Kai shouldn't be alive or at least a spirit in the spirit realm, he should be mad that he was basically was wiped out of existence by Poe after feeding him his chi. Like, I feel like it's a cool moment, but at the same time, I feel like the villain should still hate Poe after all the trouble that he put them through and end up killing them. Like, maybe Tai Lung, if he was written right, I can understand Tai Lung, like, coming to realize why Oogway chose Poe. Maybe instead, in my version of it, where how I would have probably wanted it, where the scene opens up with Chameleon opening up, taking Tai Lung's Kung Fu. Like, I can understand, and also his time in the spirit realm. Sorry, let me start that. Blah, blah, blah. I could understand after Tai Lung gets his Kung Fu taken away, I could understand him wanting to help Poe defeat the Chameleon, and then also maybe his time in the spirit realm kind of gave him some time to reflect on his past, and he could see the error of his ways. I kind of agree with the internet on this one, where they should have maybe gave Tai Lung a redemption arc in this movie. I feel like how they technically did the redemption arc is not really that convincing. To me, at least. If you think it's fine, that's completely up to you. But I don't think... Like, they can respect Poe, but they should still hate him. They seemed like, oh, we respect you now, so we're going to like you now. That's how it felt to me. But then, anyway, the villains go back, and all the masters go back. Tai Lung takes the Chameleon with him to the spirit realm, where she can never harm anyone again. And that's the end. The good guys win. Yay! Oh, okay, yeah. And there was this one part during the fight where both Poe's dads come in. Poe's birth father comes in and tries to act intimidating, but is chased by the minions. But then all the other all the other people from the cavern just start attacking, especially the little kids. And then Poe's dad is just like drinking. Both the Poe's dads were just drinking, like drinks and eating snacks as the show goes down. I thought that was pretty hilarious. I was even joking around like, that's Poe's dad, that's me. And anyway, going back to where we were, I might edit this review a bit where it makes more sense. Poe and the dads and Zen come back, and Poe is still considering making her the Dragon Warrior, which Shifu is not okay with this decision. He's like, this is the worst, out of all the candidates you chose, this was your worst one. And he just goes out, he just leaves, and then Zen begins her training, and then we get the cameo that we deserved in the beginning. The Furious Five. Finally they show up. But they don't talk. Why? Just why? And the movie ends, and that is Kung Fu Panda 4. Now, as I said, I don't hate this movie. This movie is better than I expected it to be. Part of me was expecting it to be something like Toy Story 4, where it was like, it was a good ending, but it wasn't necessary to the franchise. That's kind of how I felt, but in this case, it was like, oh, it was okay, but I don't want another one. At that point, just seeing this movie, it kind of makes me want to see another one. Like, with proper execution, I think this could be another good trilogy, which it's confirmed. It's another trilogy. And it sounds like from the beginning there was supposed to be 6 Kung Fu Panda movies. But it's either the sequel took so much time to write, and that's why it took so long, or Kung Fu Panda 3 was supposed to be the proper. They changed their mind, made Kung Fu Panda 3 the proper ending, but then changed their minds again to get some moolah involved. And that's just how it could have went. I'm not sure how it went entirely. I wasn't there. But, like, I feel like with proper writing, this movie could be good. I remember a review I watched before I made this one saying that this feels like a draft to the movie than the actual movie itself, which is fair. I actually kind of agree to a certain point. I kind of agree with that. The movie isn't perfect, but it isn't awful. I say it's tolerable. And with the proper right direction, we could get another good trilogy. It's at the point where Po is teaching this next dragon warrior. And Zen, she's fine. Like, she's okay. I remember LTSC really liked her, but, like, she isn't terrible, but at the same time, it's like, I don't really like her. If only I can explain how I feel about this character name, Zen. I wish I could do it, given a good explanation. Maybe I need more time to think about Zen for a bit. See if I can actually create a legit argument. Maybe I have to watch Kung Fu Panda 4 again and see if I can get a better understanding of how I feel about Zen and give a good argument. But yeah, I like, she was okay, but not entirely my favorite character. Chameleon was alright. Like, I think she had her moments here and there, but yeah, if you compare her to Tai Lung and Shen, she kind of falls short, but I think she's slightly better than Kai. But granted, I still probably find Kai more enjoyable, even though I don't really like Kai that much. He has a cool ability, but I don't really like him that much. And apparently a lot of people don't too, because I remember in the poll, Kai only got like 1 vote. But yeah, that's how I have to feel. That's how I feel about it. This is going to be a pain in the butt to edit, but oh well. So, what would you... Now you're probably wondering, what would you say you would give this movie? To be honest, I'd say I give it a maybe 8 out of 10. Like, it's not great, but it's tolerable. Now, time could change. I could probably eventually grow to hate this movie. Time works in an interesting way. Sometimes things age great or age poorly. And one YouTuber that I saw that said Kung Fu Panda 4 was awful and compared this film to The Force Awakens, like, I kind of agree to an extent. I don't hate it like he does, but the feeling like Force Awakens is a fair point. Maybe even No Way Home as well. I think it shares a lot of issues with No Way Home. But anyway, yeah, not terrible, but could have been better. But anyway, this is D to the B, signing off. Bye, guys.